Hello, welcome to the Owatonna Today Show. I'm so glad you joined us. My name is Francy Hall and I'm your host today. We are going to have a great show with Amy Swain from her hearing center. She's going to be talking about the kinds of hearing devices that are available and what they might cost for your budget. We also have your State Senator Vicki Jensen joining us just after the break. But first, I would like to thank our sponsors. You know, they help you stay connected to the community by sponsoring our show. So let's just thank our premier sponsors, the City of Owatonna, Express Employment Professionals, Owatonna Public Utilities, and the Steele County Food Shelf. Those are our premier supporters. Our primary supporters are Amy Swain Hearing Centers, Brookdale Senior Living, Sterling House in Clarebridge, Little Theater of Owatonna, and our interlude supporters are Abraham Consulting Technologies, Bremer Bank, Brenda Bednar Mortgage Office, Glenn Mager and Tim Thomas of the Brick Mager Funeral Home and Medford Funeral Home, Carlson Brandstad and Company CPAs, ERA Gillespie Real Estate, Fairview Animal Medical Center, Horizon Eye Care Professionals, Owatonna Business Incubator, Owatonna Foundation, Snap Fitness, Steele County Historical Society, Steele County Transitional Housing, the Third Hand Inc. Video Productions, and TPS Insurance. We hope that you will support those folks who are supporting us and helping keeping us connected to the community. Stay right there.
Hi, I'm Dr. Beth Giltvet.
And I'm Dr. Nick Vincelli of Horizon Eye Care.
We want you to see what you love and love how you see. We're proud sponsors of the Owatonna Today Show.
I needed more than just another dead-end job. I wanted a career, so I expressed myself.
With the kids off to college, I decided it was time for me to go back to work and express myself.
Express got me in touch with some really great companies. Now, I'm on my way to a great career.
Express Employment Professionals is in contact with thousands of companies in need of quality employees. Come in now and get the job you deserve.
Express yourself today.
Welcome back. We're here with Amy Swain, and we're going to be talking to her about something very important, and that's the cost of some of the devices that you can use if you have a hearing problem, and also what kind of hearing problems you have might dictate the kind of device you use. So everybody wants to know how much stuff costs, and she can help you get the better deal. So what's going on, Amy?
Sure. Well, when it comes to purchasing a hearing aid, first you want to, of course, make sure you need a hearing aid, so you want to be tested by an audiologist. Mm-hmm. You know, if you're struggling to hear in groups of people, if you're struggling to hear on the phone, if you're having to have people repeat, or somebody else complains that the TV is too loud, then it's probably time to come and see me.
So those are some of the cues or clues that you might have hearing loss.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they'll come and see you. And is that consultation, does it cost them something? Or
a hearing aid
or?
Consultation is free.
Okay.
At my office anyway.
Okay.
You know, if you were in there to have a hearing test for a medical issue or that type of thing, which usually would be done at a clinic,
okay.
Then there would be a charge. But a hearing aid consultation is free because you want to be comfortable with the person you're working with, and you want to go in, find out about the hearing loss, find out about the hearing aids, much like shopping for anything else. But
right, your eyeglasses, there's a lot to choose from there, and there's a lot to choose from with hearing aid devices.
Yes.
And what does the consultation consist of? What do you do? I'm coming in because I've noticed that people are telling me that, you know, I'm talking too loud and that the TV's too loud, and I'm having to, you know, ask people to repeat. So I come and see you, and what do you do?
Well, we do a hearing test. First, we want to know the levels that the sounds have to be in order for you to hear them. Mm-hmm. So it's the different pitches and the different sounds. The second part of the test is finding out how clearly those sounds can be understood, or how clearly speech can be understood if it's turned up louder like it would be with a hearing aid. You know, some people can have things louder where it needs to be for them to hear, but then the words don't come in clearly because of the damage done to the nerves. So we want to know all those factors. We also want to know about your lifestyle, because when it comes to choosing a hearing aid, if you tend to be more of a homebody, you maybe don't need to spend as much on the hearing aid.
Okay, because there's not a whole lot of noise probably in your home if you're by yourself or just...
Exactly. Yeah, if you're just sitting there by yourself, you don't have to worry about a lot of the background noise. The background noise has always been the biggest issue with hearing aids. In fact, what I've noticed throughout the years is that when somebody purchases a hearing aid for the first time, they tend to do something that's middle of the road or something that's less expensive because they don't know if they're going to like it. They're concerned about the operation of it, that type of thing. But when they come back for a second time to get a hearing aid, a lot of those people say, I'm just going to get top of the line. I don't want to worry about it.
And what is it that's causing that? Because they've got a hearing aid that is, not as specific? It's not, you said that loud isn't necessarily what they need,
right.
But sometimes the nerve is damaged, and so there's maybe something else going on that a higher-end hearing aid would address?
I think the reason people come back and want the higher-end hearing aid is because the higher-end hearing aids do manage that background noise more, or more efficiently.
Okay.
The other part of that is hearing aids aren't perfect no matter what you do.
It's never going to be like having your own hearing back.
Exactly. But if you can do the best you possibly can and you can afford to do so, then they do. They realize, okay, there were some limitations on my last one, and I know there's limitations on the top of the line, but it should be better. And that's what they're always hoping for, is something better. So like I don't know if Leanne can zero in on these graphs. I got a couple of them. Almost every manufacturing company out there puts together a graph, and I think that's looking pretty good. But basically what they're saying with, with the simple technology here, the one-on-one conversations and at home, with the simple technology that costs less, are down in here. And then as you move up a level, you can see these different situations, things like driving in a car, the car noise, and the parties, and social functions, that type of thing. The noisier places, they can manage the background noise better in there. The speech management system is better. Hearing aids have the ability now with more than one microphone to say, I'm going to turn off this microphone and I'm going to turn on that microphone because what I hear over there is noise and what I hear from over to the side of me is speech, and so it wants to focus on that.
And is that done automatically, digitally, or is that something that you manually, as the wearer, need to adjust?
It is done automatically.
Oh, wow.
The key here, though, is everybody will come in then and say to me, well, I want the automatic one, so I can say that this fan over here is noise and I don't want to hear that. I want to hear the speech. That's great. I mean, the automatic mode is great, and it gets better all the time. But what happens when you go into a place like Applebee's and you're sitting with your spouse or friend at a booth and the people behind you are chattering, and that's speech? The hearing aids are going to be bringing up that speech sound,
okay,
even though it's not what the person wants to focus on. So in that particular situation, you don't want an automatic hearing aid. You want to be able to say, I don't want to hear this back here.
I only want to hear who's close to me.
Or in front of me.
Right, okay.
Yeah, and so a lot of the hearing aids will have like a button, and you take the hearing aid and back here you push a button, or you can use a remote control if you want to get a remote control. And you can make those microphones become directional. So you can say, I only want to hear the person that's in front of me. I don't want to hear these guys. Now, it's not going to get rid of it entirely. You can't really do that, but it does make it softer behind. And so if they can situate themselves in the restaurant where they have most of the people that are making the noise they don't want to listen to are behind them, that's when it's most effective.
Okay. And so, what are some of the options? I see that you have some hearing aids next to you there.
Mm-hmm. You can get, on hearing aids, you can get a volume control, and then you can get the program settings. Now, I'm a big fan of the program settings. A volume control is going to just take that automatic mode and turn it up or down in volume.
Okay.
If you get a program button, you can give yourself a program, like I said, just your automatic mode, your noise reduction mode that puts it into a directional situation.
So just what's in front of me or what's to my left or right, can they do that?
And they can on the very top of the line. There is a way to do that. Okay. And they can use an app on a cell phone to do that. They can press,
so
I want to hear the person to the right.
An app on a cell phone.
That brings up something.
One step at a time.
These apps will work on a Droid or a smartphone, but I have to tell you, there have been several people, I can think of 3 or 4 right off the top of my head, that have come in and all they've had is a flip phone. And when I tell them that they can take that and direct it whichever direction they want to hear in, if they had the smartphone, they will go out and get a smartphone.
Okay.
Because when they have those flip ones, they have them for like 5-6 years.
Oh, yeah.
And then they're
flip
due
phones
for a new
last
one.
Forever.
Yeah.
My husband's had one for probably 6 years. You know, but it's true. But the neat thing is too, if you're having to get a smartphone, let's say, you're building neurons in your brain because you're learning something new. So all of this comes with a learning curve of some kind. And it sounds like it's never going to be perfect. It's never going to be your own hearing back again. But there's a lot of choices for the type of device that you can use, from the simplest to the more advanced. We have just a couple more minutes. Let's talk about cost. So what are some of these things going to cost us?
Well, hearing aids are a funny thing. They can range anywhere from about $700-800 a piece, all the way up to about $3,000 a piece.
A piece, so if you need two, that's twice that amount.
Twice that amount. You know, when you start looking at somewhere between the $3,500 to $4,800, that range, that's where most people end up buying.
Wow, okay.
Some people will buy the top of the line at $5,000 to $6,000, but most people will kind of tend towards that center. But the ones that buy those higher end ones usually tend to be a little happier.
Yeah, and how long do those last?
They
That's
last
a big investment.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
It lasts about 5 to 6 years.
Okay.
But now there is a Minnesota state law, and I don't think that a lot of people realize this, that you actually have 45 days to decide whether that hearing aid is working for you or not.
Okay.
So there's no reason to have those hearing aids in a drawer. If you try a set of hearing aids and they're not what you need and you want to return it, you have that right.
You can get money. You can get your money back.
You can get your money back. Sometimes there's a fee that's kept behind. I know I keep a fee.
I mean, even if they're fitted to your ear, you know, because they have to fit in your ear, right? So there's that kind of, but they can, okay.
Yep.
Well, that's good news. And then, you know, do insurances pay for this? Who pays for this?
Very few insurance companies will pay for it. Medicare does not pay for it.
Wow.
Some of the Medicare supplements now do have a little bit of a supplement that they'll pay, about $400 to $450 towards that. But very few insurance companies pay for them.
So this is out of pocket.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And if you're someone who has a health spending savings account or something, that might be helpful also. But
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, we're going to wrap up here. Is there anything else that you want to share with us about maybe some of these? You've got an array of them. Maybe just show folks real quick what.
Well, I've got every style on the market. I've got about 10 different brands. I am having an open house in a couple of weeks, so if anybody wants to learn more and to come in for a free private consultation, they sure can.
I want to learn about this one. This is really neat. This is
pretty.
cool. It's like a little pink one. It's just tiny.
Yeah.
Okay, so come and see you.
Come and see
You
me.
can stop in and see Amy to consult with her about your hearing issue. And that's a free consultation. Thank you so much for being here today. We really appreciate it. And up next, we're going to talk with Senator Vicki Jensen. Maybe she knows something about that hearing aid law. Thanks so much. Stay with us.
This March, as part of Minnesota Food Share Month, the Steele County Food Shelf hopes to raise $100,000 in cash or pounds of food. Minnesota Food Share contributes additional money based on our local donations. In 2014, 3,616 individuals living in Steele County registered at the food shelf. By the end of 2014, the food shelf gave out 551,000 pounds of food. The Steele County Food Shelf looks forward to your generosity again this year. With your support, we are able to provide a resource in Steele County for our neighbors in need. No one in Steele County should have to go to bed hungry.
Don't let the cold winter weather stop you from exercising. Keep up your fitness program at the West Hills Tennis and Fitness Center. We offer a variety of different membership packages available on a daily, monthly, and yearly basis. We also have a variety of programs and services to help the newest of members get started and to help those who have been around for a while improve on what they are doing. The Tennis and Fitness Center participates in insurance reimbursement programs with a variety of different insurance providers that could make you eligible for up to $20 credit each month. For more information about the West Hills Tennis and Fitness Center, call us at 444-4290.
Amy Swain Hearing Centers is a proud sponsor of the Owatonna Today Show. I'm Dr. Amy Swain, and I want everyone to hear better.
Hi, I'm Brenda with the Mortgage Office of Brenda Bednar, aligned with American Mortgage and Equity Consultants, where closings feel right from the beginning. I'm a proud supporter of the Owatonna Today Show.
Hello, I'm Sean McNulty. And I'm Deb Gillard with Brookdale Senior Living, Sterling House, and Clarebridge of Owatonna. And we are a proud sponsor of the Owatonna Today Show.
Hello, welcome back, and welcome back to Senator Vicki Jensen for being here.
It's great to be here.
Yeah, so you're on spring break right now also.
That's correct.
Okay, as your counterpart who we interviewed earlier this week. And so what's going on? While you're here, what are you doing? Who are you seeing? Who are you talking to?
Well, it was a really busy couple weeks right before this break,
Okay.
because it was policy, what they call policy deadline week. So anything that dealt with strictly policy and didn't have any financial impact had to be completed through the House and the Senate in order to be brought to the floor. So you work really hard to try to get your bills heard and through all the committees that it needs to be done through. So committee sessions went really long in order to match that. So it's great to be on break. And I have had a few sessions. I'm here. On Saturday, we had a meeting with some agricultural groups to talk about the buffer issue. If people are not familiar with that, the governor is proposing a 50-foot buffer along waterways. So we met, and Representative Petersburg was there too.
Yep.
So we had a great conversation about that. I will be busy tomorrow. I'm meeting with some county commissions in Waseca County, and some other things too.
Okay, and so you said that the policy issues that don't have the financial impact, those are things that that you want to then vote on. They haven't come to a vote yet, right? Is that coming up in this coming?
Well, what we'll do when we get back then with
Right.
break is we'll start hearing some of those policy bills that were able to make it through the committee process on the floor during session. And then the committee work will focus then on the finance committees. The policy committees actually won't meet. It'll be the finance committees that will meet after the break. And we'll be focusing in committee work on the bills that have a financial impact.
Okay.
So for an example, I have a bill that is for child advocacy centers to provide some money for those facilities. We have 4 in the state of Minnesota right now, but I would like to expand them and make them available to greater Minnesota and some of our rural areas. And it's a place where you can do a forensic interview. So the child only has to go through, if there is some indication that there's been some sexual violence or abuse to that child.
It is Blue Ribbon Child Abuse Prevention Month, and we did just have people from Exchange Club and the Center for Family Unity, which is one of those agencies where people can go and do that kind of assessment as well. And so you're saying bring some of those dollars here to outstate Minnesota, where
so we can set up some satellite offices.
Okay.
So that hasn't been heard yet, but that's because it has a financial impact. So we'll be hearing those bills after the break. So I'm excited about that, to get that started in that process.
And it's a good timing to be doing that, focusing on child abuse prevention. That's great. And what
Yes.
else is coming up that you are particularly focusing on or interested in that has an impact for us locally here?
Right. Well, a lot of the work that I've been doing this session, I have about 55 bills that I'm carrying and trying to work through, have a rural impact. So things like our infrastructure that's been deferred in our communities, I want to get $10 million to what's called the Greater Minnesota Business Development Public Infrastructure Grant Program, which is a big, but it's really, really important to our smaller communities that can't compete in the bonding process. So that is something that I'm hoping to be able to do, so we can get some of that money out here too, to work on infrastructure.
And what kind of infrastructure?
So if we want to set up an industrial park, or you already have an industrial area that you need to expand in order to meet the expansion of an industry that's already there, or if someone is looking at coming into the area, we can match 50-50 with that community the cost of putting in the things like electricity and water and the things that the things that you need to have enroll. Yes, exactly. So there's that I'm working on. But I was on a rural task force over the interim, which was last summer, and we focused on
what is it that the rural areas are looking at, and workforce development came up quite a bit. So I did a lot of work on what we're trying to get is we called them counselors at the beginning, but they're not really counselors, they're coordinators that would work through the workforce development centers. And they would be able to go into the schools and talk to the kids about what opportunities are available as far as what they're thinking about in their career. But the main thing that they're going to do is, because they work for the Workforce Development Center, they're able to get back together with all the other ones that are working and share best practices. There are some really good things that are happening across the state, but they're happening in little pockets. So we want to be able to take that information from an area that's worked to put something in place. Say they want to use a mobile unit for a CNA router or some kind of equipment that a local school district can't afford to have or doesn't have the instructor to have. Another community has set that up. These coordinators would then go back to their local community, form those relationships with the secondary, the high schools, and the businesses, and be able to share the best practices in order to get it to our community.
So what I heard in all of that is that there's going to be somebody, hopefully this bill would enable somebody to be in place at our local workforce center that meets with kids who are in high school to help identify some of the jobs that might be available to them in the local communities, and then what resources are available, we need to make those jobs happen. Is that right? And is there also some relationship developed with that coordinator and businesses to identify what businesses need, and so they can?
Yes,
right?
and then they would do the kind of shoe leather thing, is what I'm calling it, where you can set up meetings once you form those relationships and decide there's something you want to bring to the area. That would be decided locally, but they would have the background and the best practices to put it into place. If
you mean the business?
The coordinator would.
The coordinator would,
So if they decided they wanted to set up an apprentice program, they would have the knowledge and the best practice of how do you make that happen. So then they can coordinate with all of them, and that's what makes them a coordinator versus a counselor.
So connecting our kids to jobs that are available, identifying the jobs that are available, identifying what is needed infrastructure-wise for those jobs as well. And then having somebody who coordinates it to make it happen.
That's correct.
Okay, cool. And what else is going on?
Well, the biggest issue I think that we'll be trying to decide and work out is this transportation issue in the state. There's different proposals out there, but we all know, everyone agrees that we have to do something. It's just how are we going to pay for it and who's going to pay for it. I voted for the package that was for a gas tax increase last session. So I still believe that we need something that's dedicated, something that is steady and stable in order to do these projects. Because when MnDOT looks at a project that they have to develop...
Real quick, let's not just say a MnDOT project. We've got a limited time, but we did talk with John Petersburg earlier this week. And again, Highway 14, of course, came up. And so what you're talking about, I think... for us here, definitely relates to Highway 14 and the fact that in order for Highway 14 to get done, we have got to buy the right-of-way lands, right? We've got to buy land so that we have a shovel-ready project so that we can then put transportation dollars to work.
Right, so this is an example of what I'm talking about, why it needs to be dedicated and long-term.
Yes.
Because these projects are set up on a 10-year plan, and that's the way that MnDOT structures their projects. And if you're a construction company and you're going to be pulled into a project, it takes time. And if we're going to rely on any kind of general fund money, that really puts a hamper on how that gets done. So for Highway 14, we need right-of-way, we need the land in order to be shovel-ready and to be able to compete for money that's in the Corridors of Commerce area. We've received about $74 million out of Corridors of Commerce for Highway 14 already, and there were a couple $1 million that was appropriated. I worked really hard to get cash because we can't use bonding to buy the right-of-way, and we have to have the right-of-way in order to be shovel-ready and compete for money in Corridors of Commerce.
Which gets back to why we need that steady, reliable source of
and why we need new income is because the Corridors of Commerce program is here, and we said as a legislature we're not going to pay over 20% of our money that we have in there on bonding debt. So we're at that limit. So without new money coming in from somewhere, we won't be able to do any more Corridors of Commerce projects, including Highway 14. So without some new revenue Highway 14 will be done.
Right.
We won't be able to continue the work that we
So we
started.
need some revenue to get those things done so that we can then apply for and compete with others for
Right.
for the Quarters Commerce money. That's there's so much to talk about, Vicki, and,
Yes.
and we will have you back.
Sounds
and
great.
I'm sorry, but we're going to wrap it up. Stay tuned. We're going to connect you to some of our community events coming right up. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Katie Marshall. A year ago, my family and I became homeless. We were scared and alone. Today, with the help of Steele County Transitional Housing and generous donors like you, my family and I are safely housed. I am working, going to college, paying my rent on time. My children have a warm bed to sleep in every night. My family and I are so grateful for this second chance. Please help others in need by donating to transitional housing today. Everyone deserves a safe place to live.
Every child needs a mentor, a positive role model. For me, that was my grandmother. For more than 110 years, Big Brothers Big Sisters has been making meaningful monitor matches between adult volunteers and children. And these positive relationships have direct and measurable impacts. Help a child realize his or her potential. Visit bigbrothersbigsisters.org.
Welcome back. Thank you again for joining us. We will be coming back on Monday with some other guests, and that is Scott Roberts from Camp Pillsbury. You want to learn more about what's going on there. And Young Light Cake Auction will have Chuck Jameson with us talking about that annual event. In the meantime, though, there are some other events that are going to be taking place that we'll talk to you about. On Monday, April 13th, you can learn more about applying for Minnesota healthcare insurance. And that is from 9 to 4 o'clock at the Social Services Office on Florence Avenue. Big Brothers Big Sisters is hosting their annual Bowl for Kids' Sake Saturday, April 18th from 8 to 1. That's at Spare Time Entertainment. Young Life Cake Auction, we'll be talking with them on Monday, is Saturday, April 18th at the OHS Gym starting at 10 o'clock. Music Boosters of Owatonna Pancake Breakfast is coming up on Saturday, April 19th from 8 a.m. until 12:15 p.m. at the Owatonna Eagles Club. Tickets are $5 in advance from your favorite musician or from Tone Music, $6 at the door. Riverbend Nature Center, April 11th, maple syrup open house. Learn how to find and make maple syrup from 1 to 4 at Riverbend Nature Center. And that is all we have for you today. We hope you'll join us again on Monday. Thank you very much and have a great day.